What's going
What's
on?
going on?
Oh, you wild rascals out there. Your two favorite uncles are back here for Cinephellas. I'm Logan Myers. That's my good mate over there.
And I'm Henry Hill. What is going on, everybody? We are revisiting a classic from the past, a movie that we haven't watched since it came out back in 1995. Long time ago, but it still feels fresh and looks great. It's newly restored in 4K. It was directed by David Fincher. It starred Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. What are we talking about, Logan?
Seven.
Seven Deadly Sins.
That's right. This one just hit 4K scan. We're actually giving that bad boy away, digital code right there. But of course, get a copy of this. We had to go back and revisit this. Hey, you're right. I don't think I've seen this since probably 95, 96 when it came out. When it hit VHS, I didn't see it in theater. I was only 10, but remember seeing this at a very young age and scarred me for life. And in my opinion, probably one of David Fincher's best films. And it really holds up all these years later. Still dark, still spooky, and just a great looking movie. Great score, great script and everything. Just really holds up, and it really sets up with these two detectives in the film. Like a rookie and an older cop. Essentially, Brad Pitt's a young, up and coming hotshot cop, and Morgan Freeman's character coming up to retirement. He's checked out. He's ready to call it, and they get involved with this case having to do with a serial killer.
Yeah, and the serial killings are really cool. They come up to the victim. Each one is one of the seven deadly sins, of course. Seven deadly sins being pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. And each of the murders and each of the victims are found in a way to highlight one of the seven deadly sins. So the first one that they come upon, I believe, is gluttony, which is the really obese person they find dead, and his face is in like a bowl and basically I don't know what it was, soup or cereal or something, and they kind of lift up the head and he's dead in there, of course. They find the bucket underneath the table with excrement, piss, shit. And they're looking around for clues in the apartment, and Morgan Freeman, who is the veteran detective like you mentioned, is smart enough to look behind the refrigerator of all places, and that's where he sees gluttony written on the wall there. And that's what kind of starts setting them off on this course to, find out not only who the serial killer is, but to try to beat him to the punch and like figure out what the next killing could be. And, hopefully they'll be able to prevent it if they can, get there and figure out the kind of pattern that the serial killer is following.
Yeah, and it's just a very spooky setup, going up to the first kill here, having to do with gluttony, as you were saying. That's one I remember as a kid that really messed me up. Like, I think ate himself to death, essentially, is what happens, and just like the setup of the film and what exactly Fincher's going for, which is absolutely horrific and top-notch practical effects throughout the entire movie. All the different deadly sins, gluttony sticks out to me, pride, where she cuts off her face. The lady cuts off her face, really stuck out to me. And sloth having to do with this guy in a bed, handcuffed to the
Oh
bed, and
yeah.
he deteriorates, decays away. Just really outstanding practical effects in this film, especially in 1995. Just bravo. It always stood out to me and really still stands out all these years later. It still looks really fantastic and really sets up a really scary atmosphere and what these two cops are going through trying to track down the serial killer. And then it gets personal.
Oh, it gets personal, of course, having to do with Mills, Brad Pitt. He's new to New York, new to working the cases here with Somerset, Morgan Freeman, who, like you mentioned, he's on the tail end of his career. He's going to be getting a ring soon. And of course, the biggest case that he's ever been involved in happens right when Mills, joins him and they're having to work together. And, Mills, he's seen murders before, but like Somerset tells him, you haven't seen anything like this, and you haven't been in New York and seen the kind of, crazy killings and murders and just like the filth and everything of the city here in New York. And it's very much like a character too. It's very rainy in the city. It's dark. damp. You know, you can almost smell the screen in the film the way it's shot. Like you can see it. You just feel dirty just looking at the murder scenes coming up, like the one that you mentioned, Sloth, where it's the drug addict that's in the bed, and he's basically whittled away for a year to basically nothing. They think he's dead at first, but he's actually still alive. You know, the killer's keeping him alive, and he put all the air fresheners up on the ceiling to hide the smell of the decaying flesh. So nobody really knows what they're walking into. And then they think he's dead, of course. And the detectives start poking around, and he's like, "Ugh," and it almost looks like a vampire. It's
Or
crazy. Like you
zombie.
mentioned, the practical effects were amazing in this. The score by Howard Shore is really great. It's original score. You mentioned, you know, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross working together a lot for David Fincher. This used the Nine Inch Nails song "Closer" at the beginning, so I think this kind of planted the seeds for Fincher to go back and to use, you know, Trent and Atticus for his future scores. But man, just everything about this film is really feels relevant, and it doesn't feel outdated at all. It feels like it could be, you know, a movie you watch on Netflix now. You know, a lot of the murder mysteries and murder shows are popular now. This would fit in, you know, well, just the same as if it came out today.
Stands the test of time for sure all these years later. Still seems like a movie that come out today. It's still relevant. It aged well. You know, it just really sets up a gloomy and depressing and dark atmosphere in this film, and a movie that makes you feel dirty, and that's what I love about it. That's the charm of the movie. You know, the backdrop is a character in this movie, a younger David Fincher, you know, really setting up his career working with two powerhouse actors, you know, younger cop, older cop. You know, their two conflicting personalities really work in this movie to solving this case. And not to mention, probably one of the best endings of movies of all time. I would be up there. I love the ending of this movie. It's
What's in the
so, what's in the
box?
fucking box? You know, flipping out, of course, we know it's in the box, but just the way that was shot, Kevin Spacey
Yeah.
is incredible in this movie. And there's so much emotion and what, you know, Pitt's going through in that final scene. Of course, no Morgan Freeman being there as well. Just very dramatic and really incredible ending to a movie, and I love that. And yeah, this really aged well. Had a great time with this. Great directing, great set design, cinematography, score, music, acting, you know, script all across the board. Really phenomenal. Really had a great time rewatching this movie. I'd definitely rewatch probably Halloween time. And glad we got a copy of this. We're giving this away very soon. Definitely check it out. So that being said, I'm gonna give David Fincher 7. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5. Brad Pitt young hair pieces.
I agree with you. This still holds up, stands the test of time for sure. I remember going to see this movie with my brother. I think I was about 12 years old at the time. So it really left a mark. Still remember it. Only had watched it, you know, once, maybe twice before that, and still remembered everything, especially that ending. Just that car ride with the serial killer Kevin Spacey in the back seat and them talking all the way up, leading to how it did at the end. Gwyneth Paltrow and Brad Pitt were super young in this. Morgan Freeman was, you know, a middle-aged man, pretty much. You know, everybody is older now. Obviously, 1995 was 30 years ago, so everybody's aged. But yeah, these powerhouse actors got together back then, and they made a great team like you mentioned, conflicting personalities here. But as the movie progresses, they work together better. And you know, Mills learns firsthand that yeah, he's never been on a murder case quite like this with a serial killer this sadistic. Very well done, very well shot. I love that chase sequence at the end too, with Mills and Somerset chasing after the killer. It was really well done. So yeah, throughout the movie, loved it. So many memorable performances, scenes. You know, the practical effects, like we mentioned, score, cinematography, everything. Directing David Fincher. You know, I've loved him ever since. You know, all his movies. He doesn't really have a bad movie, in my opinion. It all started with Seven. So with that being said, I'm going to give 1995 Seven. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 Mills hair pieces.
What about David Fincher's Alien 3?
Oh, all right, you got me there. I have not rewatched that one since I watched it the first time. I remember being really bad. So yeah, but that's one that's like, is that really a David Fincher film? I don't even really think about that when I think of him.
Nah, me either. I was just saying.
Yeah, good point.
So interested in hearing from all you guys out there. What did you guys think of Seven? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite David Fincher film? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to stay subscribe. Also, check out these mass assailants on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for latest, greatest TV, movie news and reviews.
That's right. And we have fun reviewing these older classic movies. We're going to be doing that throughout this year, covering the new movies, new TV shows, but we're also going to go back and cover some older movies that we haven't reviewed before. We like doing that, revisiting these, especially the ones that are remastered in 4K. And then we do the Fellas giveaway and give you guys an opportunity to kind of watch our review, watch the film, vice versa. And then you guys can chime in our comment section. We can have a little discussion, and we enjoy that, discussing things with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching our review of Seven. And until the next Cinefellas movie review, I'm Uncle Henry Spacey.
And I'm Logan Fincher signing out until the next movie review for Cinefellas. Cheers!
Cheers!